for a while and you feel like you've hit a plateau and you're just not improving anymore. You've upgraded your hardware, but you're still not able to be as fast as you would like. Well, guess what? I did that too, okay? I'm as guilty as you are. And that's exactly why Racine and myself created what we call the advanced way to learn. By using the techniques that we're about to show you, we were able to win national championships, and we're now coaching real-life drivers and sim racers all across the globe. So let me tell you why you absolutely need this to improve your racing skills. On this platform, you'll go through 5 learning steps. The first one is going to be to watch video lessons so you can take in all that theory. The second step will be to answer quizzes. We've created some questions to test your knowledge. Next, you'll have to partake in challenges. Here, you'll have to prove to yourself that you can apply what you've learned. You'll go on track and you'll try to beat the instructor's lap times for sector times. Following the challenge, you'll be able to send your onboard replay so instructors and other community members can help you improve. And lastly, you can get involved in the community to meet some new teammates and learn from others. This platform is a back and forth discussion between us, the instructor, and you, the students. If you're serious about becoming the best driver out there, this is the advanced way to learn.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Two rounds of the playoffs are down, and it's time for the final step to the championship. The round of 8 begins today, and it's a historic day, as tonight at Martinsville, it's race number 300 for the PRL trucks. It's also the unlucky 13th race for the trucks at Martinsville, and it's on the eve of Halloween. Sounds like a recipe for some scary stuff, but RaceSpotTV welcomes you to round 6 of the PRL Truck Fixed series in 2024 Season 4. My name is Joey Tebben. Joining me in the booth yet again is Mr. Derek Watson, and behind the scenes on sound and pictures is Hugo Luis. It's going to be a scary sight tonight, Derek. Martinsville, it's a place that a lot of drivers have had circled all season long as a place where chaos reigns and a place where you're probably going to need to survive if you want to keep your championship hopes alive.
Joey, lots of jump scares, lots of frights, lots of spooky sounds all around you here at Martinsville here in round number 6. You see we got Phoenix, Kentucky, and Auto Club to round out that 9-week season. Well, let's take a look at some points, Joey. As of now, as a reminder, the drop week is in. Everyone's allowed one drop week in the PRL. Richard Regan Jr. leads the Pro Series by 5 points over Bradley Holly. Then there's a big jump back to Mark Kalin in 3rd and Jeff Evans in P4. Daniel Knight, Jeff Ward, Thomas Sink, Ted Lowendick, Abner Acosta, and James Morgan round out your top 10.
And Abner Acosta is seething after last week. Might have won Homestead if not for a late caution. He'll be looking to come back tonight. The AM standings looking pretty close. Andrew Sharp and Brett Adams have sort of been the main characters in the AM division this season, both of them with multiple wins. But there are many, many drivers behind them who are capable and hungry for wins. Hillman's been fast. Patrick Cowgill's looking to return to victory lane. Nick Hunter, Nick Schwartz, Zach Panzarella. The heat goes on. The AM division, maybe even more hotly contested in terms of points than the Pro division this season. The team's championship is also a 2-horse race up at the top, with Whataback and Regan Bogue running away with things up there. Whataback Racing TNT, not impossibly far behind, but they're going to need a big turnaround with some big points from Thomas Sink and their guys. Bluegrass Motorsports unfortunately took a big hit last week with Jeff Ward not being able to make it. They only had Mark Kalin scoring points. They're not out of it either, but they're going to need to do a little bit of sweeping and hope for some 1-2 results to the end of the season to keep those teams' championship hopes alive. And as I mentioned, it's not just those individual season standings. The playoffs have entered the round of 8. 3 races here with the championship finale afterwards at Auto Club. We're going to crown a championship for, or assign a championship for, over the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, this is the kind of spooky stuff lurking around the corner as this playoff system. Look on the left side, the former Grand National drivers, Bradley Holly, Richard Regan Jr., Abner Acosta, Ted Lowendick above the line. Then it's James Morgan, Mark Kalin, Jeff Evans, and Thomas Sink right now in the red. Then under the truck side, the M division, Patrick Cowgill leads Zach Panzarella and Brett Adams, and then Andrew Sharp in P4, 16 points ahead of Marty Calvert, Austin Hunter, Mike Toomer Jr., and Nicholas Hunter. And that is quite the interesting schedule they got there, Joey. It's Martinsville, Phoenix, and Kentucky, 3 quintessential NASCAR facilities.
One of the big upsets, Jeff Ward out in the round of 12. Unfortunately, after missing last week, the points didn't go his way. Thomas Sink had a good day, advanced into the round of 8 in the Pro division, and Jeff Ward will go home with no more playoff hopes. But the playoffs continue for everybody else, and the playoffs are possible thanks to Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. RaceBox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and also get a 5% discount, also using the Precision 5 coupon code. The Butt Kicker. Products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with The Butt Kicker. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. And now it's time for the ultimate test of driving skill. It's qualifying at Martinsville currently underway. A couple of seconds left on the clock. James Morgan in the 12 out on track right now, trying to see what he can do.
Yeah, see what James can put himself in a spot for here if he can qualify well. There's Abner Acosta, that number iconic 5, that yellow machine. So some drivers, maybe get some extra practice in here, Joey. I think everyone's turned or qualifying laps by now, so I think everyone now just seeing some extra practice here on the board. So we'll wait and see how this turns out. See Abner coming around right in the bottom of that corner here around the track.
Got to get every last minute of practice you can. It's been a tough season for Abner, as we mentioned, but had a great day last week at Homestead. Got to finally use his tire wizard abilities to move forward through the field, and if that late caution didn't come out, we could be talking about a winner this season, Abner Acosta. Unfortunately for now, we're talking about Abner Acosta in P15, much deeper in the field than he would have liked. And Richard Regan Jr. is going to rip yet another pole. It's his third pole in a truck at Martinsville, and one of many poles this season for the championship leader. The iRacing Pace Truck's going to pick him up, and it'll be Richard leading the field with Zach Panzarella. An excellent lap from him, one of the AM drivers starting on the outside of the front row. Bradley Holly, the winningest driver in the PRL and the defending winner from last week, starts third alongside his teammate Daniel Knight. Mike Richter, a great run from him to begin the top 5, and Doug Evans starts alongside him as the lead Evans. P7 went to Nathan Deering, who's had some strong runs this season. Thomas Sink is looking to make the championship 4 after making the round of 8. Brett Adams and Kevin McGarvey round out the top 10. Jeff Evans is the second of the two Evanses, and Mark Kalin rounds out the top dozen.
Moving back into Waterback Racing TNT is Ted Lowendick with Marty Calvert of Philmar Racing on the outside, 13th and 14th. Abner Acosta, as Joey said, back in P15. That's a long way back at Martinsville, with Jacob Dunn on the outside in that purple Tabata Rossi Esports machine. Number 17 is Mike Toomer Jr. and then Tyler Graff in P18 in that very bright, colorful machine. Alex Hillman starts at P19 with Nicholas Schwartz on the outside. James Morgan, the other Tabata Rossi Esports driver in P21 with Stacy Hunter on the outside, and then 23rd and 24th is Colton Lane and Nicholas Hunter.
Colton Lane back as well after missing last week. Brendan Shatley starts 25th alongside yet another Hunter, Austin Hunter. He's in the round of 8. Andrew Sharp, fighting for a championship in the AM division, starts alongside Kyle Dewey. Mike Knight, the second of the Knights, unrelated to the first night, starts alongside Tom Macy on row 15. The hits keep on coming. There's a few other trucks on the grid. Jose the Funky Cole Medina's back in 31st. Jeff Ward, Dalton Geyer, no qualifying laps for him. Patrick Cowgill, not allowed to qualify this week after getting a penalty at Homestead last week. Dylan Schmidt and Zachary Burnt, row 18, 35th and 36th, but that's not all. There's a few others behind them, if I'm not mistaken. I think we've got no, we don't have anybody behind them. Never mind. I thought there were more drivers coming with a couple other drivers who had to serve a penalty, but I guess they'll be waiting next week as the penalties do cross over week by week. When we get Dr. Beaver and Dustin Bumgarner back next week, they'll be serving their end-of-line penalties next week at Phoenix.
Well, Joey, here we are, the shortest track on the schedule, the small paper clip. It's going to be just lots of tough beating and banging, lots of aggression, and maybe not lots of green flag racing. We'll have to wait and see how this could go one of two ways. We could get some long green flag runs, or it may just wad itself up pretty quickly. That's what this track is known for. They're coming out down the back straight on the last, or it should be down the front straight here, to come start their second pace lap. And, you know, Joey, man, Richard Regan up front, that's no surprise. He's Mr. Short Track. He's just good at this stuff. So, listen, he may not be Art the Clown, but he's a terrifier when it comes to short track racing.
And there's been a lot of times, or at least multiple times, when Richard Regan Jr. has been up front this season and the strategy's not gone his way. Remember race 1 at Kansas? He led the majority of the race, led on most of the restarts, had a bad tire call that dropped him to the back of the field. Same thing happened at Homestead last week. This week he gets to try again, though, and for the 300th time in the PRL Truck Series, it is time to go racing. The green flag is in the hands of Barney the Flagman, and Richard Regan Jr. leads us to number 300. It's an excellent jump into turn 1. Clear as Zach Panzarella easily. Bradley Holly in the 184 gets to the inside of Panzarella as well. Look to the back of the field. 36 trucks filing through half a mile into the heavy braking zone at turn 3 for the first time. I saw Abner Acosta in the yellow truck diving it to the inside, but that's one full circuit in the books and totally clean.
Yeah, one full green flag circuit in the books here. Got some smoke up top, but don't see a truck up there, so I'm not sure what happened with that smoke. But look at this in the pack, Joey. Everyone's now battling for position, wanting to get as far forward as fast as possible before these tires are off. And the real losers of this battle so far, Joey, will be the guys who start on the outside. There's not an outside lane at Martinsville. You are begging to get yourself into that bottom lane.
Ted Lowendick in that bright blue and silver number 13 to the inside of the purple and black number 3 of Jacob Dunn. Jacob a little bit later on the brakes than the outside, much too late in the brakes though as he gets high out of the groove. Acosta swallows him up, Calvert swallows him up, and Tyler Graff's going to get to the inside of Calvert as well.
And tell you what, that was a great job by Dunn to gather that truck up, because when you get up into that darker concrete up on the top of that track, Joey, it is very slick. Lots of marbles, lots of debris. It's easy to lose that truck up there. So great job by Dunn to get that truck saved and not wrap it around. Look at this. We're already working a few laps here, and I think much to some people's surprise, we're still green, knock on wood.
Yeah, this race circled as a place of chaos. The first couple of rounds here, there were 2 cautions, and there goes Tyler Graff sending it to the inside of Marty Calvert in turn 3, and you can see him stacking up in the background. The caution does finally fly for the first time. An aggressive dive to the inside for the number 16. Ends with a couple of spins and a couple of crunches. A couple of laps into today's race.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's 5 laps. That may be more. Listen, I talked to a lot of drivers tonight. They were concerned we weren't going to get 5-lap runs. So that's a promising start to this race in a lot of ways. As awful as that may sound, that some guys were kind of concerned that the monster under the bed, so to speak, in this race would be, you know, that we couldn't go green. Watch this replay here. Just dug into the inside. Joey, what was he looking for there? I mean, he digs it inside of Marty Calvert, but for why? Like, what? I don't know.
And Tyler Graff doing the same thing that we've seen many, many times at Martinsville. It's a road course driver, trying to be later on the brakes than some of his rivals, but gets a little bit too aggressive, loses the rear, and goes spinning in front of the field. But that is going to be the first caution. Not too many drivers involved. I'm not seeing too many trucks coming down to the pits for repairs. You see one truck coming out there, not going a lap down. That's Jeff Ward, actually, who decided to come down pit road, go to the back of the field. Seems pretty clean. Seems pretty good. We'll be going racing again here in a matter of moments with not too many trucks hurt.
And the challenge of pitting here, by the way, Joey, it should be noted here under yellow, or under green, which is worse, but under yellow, with how long the line is from, you know, leader to back of pack. If you pit here from the back of the field, you're not that far from getting lapped just going down pit road. You probably only get about 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds of repairs done, or, you know, just enough time to change 4 tires and gas, and it's time to go. This isn't, you know, Talladega or Pocono where you can fix a truck here. So it's really frustrating if you get damage here or if you get involved in a wreck, because there's no time to pit here at Martinsville.
And this is not a track where cautions only take a minute. This is a track where you're going to be bunching up. You're going to be driving around for a couple of laps. It can take anywhere north of 5 minutes. So think about that when the end of the race comes. If we do get a late caution, that's going to be your danger zone. You see a couple of trucks on the right side of your screen there, bringing it down pit road yet again. Jeff Ward is down again. Jose the Funky Cole Medina is down again. Those were 2 trucks who were all the way at the back of the field, who I think did end up getting caught up in a couple of checkups. And they're taking advantage of this early caution to get those trucks fixed back up and nice and straight. But lights are out on the pace truck. We'll be going racing this time.
And real quick, Joey, I will say that unless this race goes obnoxiously long green, like 60, 80 laps green, people like Regan, Holly, Panzarella, Daniel Knight, I'd bet they never pit here because the track position is more important than new tires.
Let's see if we can go a little bit longer this time. Richard Regan Jr., still your leader, still your pole sitter, even on the restart, but this time he's got Bradley Holly in the 184 to his outside. Brad doesn't want to pull up too far forward. Richard Regan's going to clear him by about 7 car lengths, as Zach Panzarella's going to try and get to the inside of Holly into turn 1. It's not going to happen. Holly's got the outside run. First instance of side-by-side. Nathan Deering has been ripping forward since the start. The number 4 truck is up to 3rd on the outside as he tries to move around Zach Panzarella.
Man, that outside lane right now on the restart, Joey, is 0 for 2 when it comes to restarts. We'll see if it gets any better or if Regan is just going to jump every start. But, I mean, look at that gap already he has. And that's due to that start he has here. So, you know, he's doing a great job. And now drivers starting to single file out. Lots of orange and black on those paint schemes tonight, Joey. I think there's a certain reason for that.
Gonna get confusing, though. I'm not used to seeing Doug Evans in a truck that isn't magenta. I'm gonna call him Brad or Sink or something accidentally, because that's not what I'm used to for Mr. Doug. I mean bright green, actually. See, I'm getting him confused already.
Oh,
Jeff's the magenta
Yellow's
truck.
out.
And the caution flies yet again. Made it a couple of laps this time. Not entirely sure who brought it out this time. Looks like it was deep in the back of the field, though.
Yeah, deep in the back of the field. And the problem with that can be it doesn't take long for Richard Regan to find it, and maybe, you know, closer than he wants to. But everyone's got it all checked up here. I don't see any instance of big damage so far, so we'll wait for the replay machine to load up here and find this here. But here we are, Joey. We are about, what, 6 minutes in? We're already into our second caution of this race. And this is what some drivers fear. This is that moment of fear they have about this, because if this continues, if this epidemic of yellow flags continue, it'll increase the aggression. Watch this here. Watch that. Oh, it's spun to the inside. Oh, man. Just got himself to the inside. Oh, there's a second. That's burnt behind him. Just kind of put himself in there. Oh, no. Don't back up. No.
That was Jose the Funky Cole Medina in the 54 who managed to avoid that. But
talk about jump scares.
Yeah. Kyle Dewey in the 33 originally. I don't think he brought out the caution originally. I think it was just the second truck on the scene. Yeah, Burnt ended up bringing that out.
Yeah, especially with that backing up here. I was going to say, you know, if these yellows keep coming, Joey, what's going to happen? These drivers are going to get more and more and more aggressive, because now you start to think, I only have 1 or 2 laps to make up a spot or make up 2 spots. You know, you can't keep thinking, well, I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 laps to make it up. And so unfortunately, that aggression will continue to ramp up most likely here in this moment if we keep getting yellow flags.
And that was an interesting restart from Bradley Holly that last time. He deliberately didn't pull up alongside Regan. He hung back a little bit. He essentially restarted on row 2 and was able to clear Zach Panzarella on the run to turn 1. I wonder, is he going to continue to do that, or now that he's got Nathan Deering and a couple others by him, is he gonna pull a little bit farther forward and try and use the outside to get around Regan? What's going through Bradley Holly's mind? How is he going to be able to pass him today?
Well, the restart system in iRacing right now is a little funky, Joey, where basically you have to maintain a speed. Both the first place and the second place, the inside and outside, have to maintain a speed, pace speed, which is 40 miles an hour here. The problem with that system currently is that the speeds are the same, but going 40 on the outside is not the same as going 40 on the inside. There's a lot of fear from those drivers that you don't want to eat that black flag. We've seen those black flags in PRL this season already for different reasons, but if you eat one for an invalid restart, it is a harsh penalty to eat. And so I think Brad's just wanting to avoid the black flag and thinking he can race it back later.
Lights are out in the pace truck. We're not especially organized, but I think we'll get them racked up here, and we'll go racing again in about half a mile. 10 minutes down already in this 60-minute race. Unfortunately, the record prior to tonight was actually 2 cautions. That was the least amount of cautions in a PRL truck race at Martinsville. We have tied that record now. If we go green the next 50 minutes, we will continue to tie that record, but I have a feeling they're... Oh, Richard Regan Jr. and Bradley Holly wreck each other under caution. They're stuck in the wall. The entire field goes by. What in the world has happened between the 2 championship leaders?
Well, like I say right now, first off, the green's been waved off, so we're gonna get a moment to re-rack it. But what in the holy undead just happened right there, Joey? Brad looks confused, and
the 2 race leaders, the 2 championship leaders, looked like they were swerving to get a little bit of heat in the tires. They've come together and they've taken each other out. Bradley Holly has rejoined the grid. He's going to restart in 13th. Richard Regan Jr., I believe, has disconnected. I believe he's gone.
Hang on, we're not going green.
Well,
we're not going green because this has thrown timing and scoring all sorts of out of whack. Richard Regan Jr. is actually still there. You see him parked now, but who knows what's going on now?
Reports from RaceSpoT indicates it's going to be a hardware issue for Richard Regan Jr. So we're going to wait and confirm that. But that's going to be the initial start. I think we're going to go green this time by, but braking stir we need to follow up on. Right now, it sounds like a hardware issue. Watch this here. Oh, yeah. Switch right to the, yep. That's your classic wheel disconnect right there when you swerve to the right like that.
Yep, trying to warm the tires, was doing everything right, and then the wheel decides to turn a hard right. And in the most shocking turn of events, Nathan Deering is your new race leader. I don't think he expected this to happen. Let's ride on board with Regan. And yeah, you can see immediately there the wheel is stuck to the right. Nothing he could have done there, and Brad probably just as surprised as the other truck in that picture. But Nathan Deering, for the first time in the PRL trucks, is leading the way. Nathan Deering into turn 1 leads Zach Panzarella and Daniel Knight side by side. Thomas Sink in the 48's on the scene as well. They're one by one though, and in an absolute shock, Nathan Deering is going to lead the field for the first time.
Well, and this is one of those problems. What happens to Brad, unfortunately, with the way the iRacing system works, is it doesn't move him to P1. It moves the next car on the inside up to P1. So Nathan Deering really benefited from that unfortunate piece of, I guess you can call it a gremlin.
3 wide.
With the Halloween scheme.
Kevin McGarvey, Doug Evans, and Mike Richter were 3 wide for a moment. Richter actually blinked out of existence, so it wasn't quite as scary as it could have been there. He's still on the outside. Now it's Colton Lane and Marty Calvert who are attempting to get by him, and it looks like Mike Richter knows he's having some technical issues. He's deliberately trying to fall back to the field, and now he's wrecking on the backstretch.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, Tyler Graff and I think Mike Richter possibly involved. I know it's Tyler Graff for sure. But wait and see when the replay machine loads up here. Man, what a busy few minutes here. Yep, there it is. And he's right in front of him. Oh, Andrew Sharp. Wow.
He was blinking in and out of existence, was trying to stay out of the way, and unfortunately it looks like he blinked back in directly in the way of Tyler Graff.
Well, let's enjoy it. Something we did talk about tonight that I think is going to become prevalent pretty soon. We don't talk about it a lot in ovals. This is more of a road conversation you and I have had. The PRL has an incident limit in races, which is 24 incidents. Now, technically, anytime you make contact with a car, so for example, Richard Regan and Bradley Holly, that's what we call a 4X. That's 4 out of 24. That record there with Graff and Richter, that's a 4X. If you get 24 incident points, you are DQ'd from this race. The downside to being DQ'd, you don't finish last or wherever in order, you do not finish. I'm telling you right now, Joey, with the way this race is trending, we might have a DQ or two before the night is over.
And I'm going to start thinking about Richard Regan Jr. here because he is probably a safe bet for the championship 4. He's about 50 points above the cut line. But today, even if he finishes, he's probably only going to be scoring about 20 points. And you think about the people below the cut line. Mark Kalin is having a great day. Thomas Sink is having a great day. Jeff Evans is in the top 10. James Morgan is not having the best day, but he's still up there. This could put Richard Regan Jr. in danger, potentially, of not making the championship 4 if he has 2 more bad weeks after this.
Well, what I like about Richard Regan, what I respect about him, as you said, he's already back out on track, seems to have that problem fixed, and he's going to come out here, he's going to turn laps, he's going to score some points. And the reason why it's important, anyone who wrecks out from here, anyone who DQs, anyone who whatever you want to name on that list, he could probably still pass some cars here. He's 6 laps down on the scoring pylon, so he's likely not going to win this race. But out here fighting for every point. This will probably not kick him out of first place, Joey, but it will, or at least not kick him out of the top 4. But it's going to level the field off pretty quickly for our next race next week at Phoenix.
And Nathan Deering, he's probably regretting not signing up a little bit sooner because he didn't actually qualify for the playoffs this year, didn't quite have the requisite amount of starts to qualify for either the Pro or AM playoffs. He's just racing for fun. He's racing for season points here in Season 4. And right now, he is in the best possible position in this race of potentially being able to lead for the next 45 minutes if the things go the way they've been going so far. But it's so much more of a wild card now. It is not Richard Regan, the master of the restarts, leading the way. It's Nathan Deering, who's never won a truck race in this series. It's Daniel Knight, who hasn't won in multiple years. It's Zach Panzarella, who hasn't won in a unified truck series. And it's Thomas Sink, who hasn't won in multiple years either. It's Mark Kalin, who only won his first oval race last season. It is absolute upside down time here in the 13th race in these trucks at Martinsville, and who knows what's going to happen next. But Nathan Deering will take re-control of the field and will lead us to green once more. Let's see how far we can make it. Daniel Knight's going to be much closer to the back of him into turn 1. We didn't make it very far. I already see a cloud of smoke on the front stretch. Made it through turn 1. Didn't make it much further than that.
Yeah, it all happened right in front of Richard Regan. He has stopped. That's that truck you see in the back of your shot that has stopped You just decided not to hit anybody.
There's
a piece of debris.
Decklets falling from
What
the
is
sky.
that?
It's raining decklets.
That decklid was breakdancing right there down on pit road. That was interesting to see. Wow. All right. Well, listen, I think we need to note, by the way, just real quick while we can before the replay comes up, Bradley Holly pitted, by the way, as far as I can tell, Joey. So Bradley Holly, who was second in points on the pro side, also down the field. This is going to be a massive shakeup to the points if things don't change. Now, right now, there's a lot of confusion about who isn't behind the pace car. I think we're getting it lined up here.
Yeah, it looks like Holly's still in 13th, but who knows where anybody is at this point. This is one of those confusing things where they got past turn 1, but a bunch of the field didn't make it to the line by the time the caution came out. So all of those guys that didn't make it to the line, they basically have to ride behind the pace truck here until 1 to go, when all of these trucks ahead of Nathan Deering, who's all the way at the back of your picture, will get waved around to get their lap back. It's all sorts of confusing.
Yeah, and that's going to be awful for those guys, because trying to get around here on a wave around, at this track is not easy, because you don't get to go fast in the corner. Watch this replay here. Watch them back in the back of your screen. What's going to happen? There's Tyler Graff involved. There's Mike Toomer Jr. I would love to see what happened from Tyler Graff's point of view, maybe, because I think that's going to be the epicenter, if you will, of this caution. He has disconnected, by the way. I'm not putting blame on. I just think he's going to be the start. Watch the replay here. Going to come out of the corner. Just going to check up a little bit. And nothing.
Yeah, I think that was a little bit earlier, but you are exactly right. It was Tyler who checked up a little bit on the restart. You saw him slow in front of that line, and yet again, a lot of playoff drivers involved. Mike Toomer Jr. is in the round of 8. Nick Hunter is in the round of 8. Those guys need to have good days if they want to make the championship 4 with some of those heavier hitters, and it's already on the back foot for them as well.
Yeah, this is the messy race I think some people thought it would be, honestly, Joey, where we're just kind of wrecking some good cars, and unfortunately for them, that's happening here. But remember, every time that happens, probably a small smile on the face of Richard Regan Jr., hoping that a few cars will drop out and he can make up some points here. So right now, we still got 31 cars on the lead lap, Joey. Jose Medina, Tyler Graff, Brandon Chatley, Mike Richter, and Richard Regan are currently 1 or more laps down.
And there we go. There goes the wave around. There goes Burnt and Richter and Jamie. Well, not Jamie Graham. Jamie Graham's not here tonight, but a whole host of drivers, a whole host of the field, and Mr. Nathan Deering will take over the race lead. It is somewhat of an uncomfortable position, though. Daniel Knight, I mentioned that he hasn't won in many, many seasons, in many, many years, but he's got almost more experience than anybody else in this field, and he would love to return to victory lane at a place where I think there's been more Truck Series races than anywhere. Let's try and get it going again. We're about a third of the way through this race. Barney the Flagman's starting to get an arm pump, but Nathan Deering leads us into turn 1 yet again. They're almost 1 by 1, but Thomas Sink is actually going to get to the inside of Daniel Knight. 2 guys that haven't won for a while, fighting for second. Not for long, though, as Knight gets a better run to the outside. He's going to clear Sink into P2. First side-by-side, Mark Kalin and Zach Panzarella. Kalin wants to be a spoiler today, and he wants to try and make that outside groove work while he can.
And remember, we talked to Mark last week in post-race interviews, Joey. He said, the quote, "This is the Mark Kalin track. I like this place. I do well here." Well, right now he is. He's up in P4, up here battling side by side and holding his own on the outside. And that's a hard, difficult thing to do, to hold your own out there, because it's just a harder turning radius and everything. But he's doing pretty well so far and almost has a small lead at times on Panzarella.
James Morgan deep close to the wall in the back, but the battle for 4th rages on through 3 and 4 again. Mark's got a great run. He leads at the line, so if this was the race for the win, he'd still be winning this thing, but it's one thing to lead at the line. It's another thing to actually take this position and move forward, and he's still not in a position to do that. He's still squeezing Panzarella. Now into turn 3, he's going to outbrake him, and now Mark Kalin takes P4 and clears Panzarella.
Well, that's a great move by Mark to pass on the outside. That's a power move. That shows a little bit of dominance and confidence in what he's doing. And look at that. Mark's one of the guys taking advantage of that new chrome on the side of the truck there, Joe. You see that iRacing went out and released a brand new chrome feature about, what, a month ago now, I think it is. And now you can actually get that nice, shiny silver in iRacing. They see it on the side of Mark's truck there. There's that beautiful chrome look.
I love it. Can see myself all the way here in the booth. It's another confusing thing, though, the fact that Mark is in a white and blue truck this season and not in his usual orange fare, so it's hard to pick him out sometimes. It does match with his actual setup at home, though. He's got a blue chair, he's got a white shirt, he's got all sorts of white and blue in the background with the Star Wars lights. I think it's a nice new look for Mark Kalin.
Nice look there to match that Kentucky bluegrass with the Bluegrass Motorsports. Mark, of course, a big Kentucky fan, so gets to represent his colors that way. His teammates with Jeff Ward, who also typically carries some kind of University of Kentucky scheme here on the track. Here's Andrew Sharp on the inside. That's Colton Lane on the outside in the 60 on the part of Wada back here. Andrew, beautiful job getting that pass and almost, wow, open the door. Look at that for the 12 machine to come on in. This is James Morgan. And Colton Lane might get double passed here if he's not careful.
And Sharp's got a little bit of damage on the rear end of that truck. Remember, he was involved, not any fault of his own, in one of the early cautions. Almost gets a little bit of contact from Colton Lane there, who washes up high, and now does let the 12 get to his inside. James Morgan, Colton Lane, side by side for the moment, but I don't know how long it's going to be as Morgan's ripping the bottom. He's looking very quick. He's a little bit later on the brakes into turn one as well. The 60's trying to keep the fight up, but he just doesn't seem to have it on the outside.
Remember, Joey, early in this year in 2024, James Morgan came out and really was a force to be reckoned with at times in the Grand National Series and really had some great solid runs. But man, in season 3 and even frankly in season 4 here, really struggled a little bit, kind of falling off, but he qualified for the playoffs based upon his early year points. I think in season 2, he was part of the points battle at the very end. It came with only a few points of winning a season title. So James Morgan is trying to kind of find that groove and that confidence and that momentum again. And hey, why not do it? You're in the round of 8. This is the time to find your confidence, find your groove, and get yourself involved in. With all the drivers who have wrecked out, been in a wreck, or have damaged trucks, this is a good night to gain some points.
And speaking of trucks that have been involved in a wreck, look directly behind Colton Lane. Austin Hunter has had a very unfortunate season so far. I think it's been the majority of races where he's flipped this season. He had a good race last week at Homestead. He actually just crashed. He didn't flip. Today, it's been totally clean. There's not a scratch on that truck, and as I assume there's going to be more drama over the course of tonight, he's going to be looking for today to potentially be the best day of his season. Could he be the king of chaos tonight?
He could be. Now, listen, I kind of joked earlier with Whataback Racing. I said, listen, it's Martinsville. You know, the odds of Austin Hunter flipping that truck are low. But I was reminded, hey, back in 2021, Bradley Holly flipped his vehicle, barrel rolled it down the front straight, and flipped it over the pit wall, and basically landed in his pit stall in a race here at Martinsville back in 2021. So it's not impossible, but I would say the betting odds are that Austin Hunter does not flip that truck tonight.
We can only hope. And by the way, confirmation from Tyler Graff, it was a missed shift on the restart that led to him being a little bit sluggish in front of the field, and that led to the ensuing Gauss gun of trucks piling in there on the restart. Easy to do at Martinsville. We've seen it happen so many times, and unfortunately, there's a bunch of trucks that decided that they were going to be involved today. Back closer to the front, though, Bradley Holly is still in this race. He's down in P11 at the moment. That is higher than he was a couple of moments ago. He was as low as P13. He's saying this race is not over yet for me. I could still pick up a top 10 and have a good day here.
Yeah, and that's a great run for Brad. If he can get this back in the top 10 and, you know, likely pass Richard Regan in points, that'd be a breath of fresh air for him. We'll see how that plays out here. But man, look at him here, still too wide down this back straight. Everyone's kind of trying to make a move, get to the inside. You see Bruce Adams on the bottom. There's Ted Lowendick on the bottom. He's got his baby on the back. Man, I was hoping Ted would have maybe removed the baby from this race, because I thought, you know, there's a place to maybe get
of all the races you want,
right?
the baby, it's here.
I would disagree, but yeah, it's okay.
He's using the baby deliberately to avoid getting hit in the back, because nobody wants to punch a baby. Of all the places you don't want to get hit in the back, Martinsville's number one. So this is a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. But if it was me, I'd say, hey, this is the most likely place I'm going to get punched in the back. So maybe.
Well, that's why you got to use it. It gives you the most value. It gives you the most. Yeah, it saves the most money. It saves the most baby.
Yeah, that's fair. Got to get more bang for your buck.
Exactly.
More bang for your baby. I don't know how that analogy works out there. But look at him here, having a great run now. Things have calmed down a little bit in this race, Joey. We see Ted fell back a little bit in that corner. But things have calmed down. We're a lot of single file racing. Still some double wides. But for the most part, everyone's kind of calmed down, got their bearings under them. The tires have warmed up a little bit. The brakes have warmed up, so there's no big, stops on the brakes. And we're green flag racing here for the better part of about 6-7 minutes now. And I mean, listen, it just takes one oops-a-daisy to fix that. But we're having a pretty good run here.
And this is a pretty good fight between the two teammates, between Holly and between Ted Lowendick. Ted was looking forward to tonight. He was a little bit uncomfortable in this truck in many of the first races of the season on the super speedways and stuff because he just didn't really know what to do. He's a road course driver. But now we show up to Martinsville, a place where heavy braking is as important as it is all season, and he's picked it up pretty fast, running in the top 10. And Bradley Holly's no slouch on road courses and places you need to brake heavily either. They're going at it here for P10, and both of them are putting the pressure on Brett Adams.
Yeah, I think short track racing is probably the type of oval racing that benefits a road course driver the best, because it really is about finding your braking markers, being consistent, but also being easy on the brakes. There's a lot of drivers here, Joey, who will get hard on the brakes in the corners and really stomp on those brakes and wear those tires out. But if you have practice, being conservative with your tires, and you have practice finding your brake markers, you could probably save a lot of tires here. Man, that was a big move by Abner Acosta there on the front straight a second ago. Not sure where it got him, but he was trying to go somewhere.
Zachary Burnt is trying his best to get out of the way. He's doing mostly a good job of it, but sometimes at a place like this, it gets tight and there's just nowhere you can go. And he essentially became a chicane there as Panzarella had to take a hard left, and Evans and Acosta and Jeff Evans just had to follow him there and hope not to hit Zachary Burnt straight in the rear end there. Ted Lowendick, though, good switchback. He's got a nose to the inside of the 23 of Brett Adams into turn 3. Adams closes the door, though. Ted's not quite far enough to the inside to actually think about making that move, but he's making that bright blue hood very, very visible. And as these trucks start to get even squirrelier and squirrelier on the brakes, that's when moves happen at short tracks, if you're able to get a nose to the inside.
Yep, that's the way to pass someone here, is to get that move and get that down to the inside. If someone maybe gets on the brakes too late or doesn't get on the brakes or just kind of wiggle it loose, you kind of put your nose in there and try and make it happen. But right now there's a truck way outside. That's the 54 machine kind of letting everybody by and doing a pretty good job of it. Right now everyone's gone by. About 31 minutes left in the race. Now, I said earlier, Joey, that I thought nobody would pit unless we got what would be an incredibly long run. We're not there yet in my mind, but man, if we get another 5 or 6 minutes of racing in, then I think those tires do matter in the conversation, maybe, if or when a yellow flag comes out.
Yeah, it's almost an impossible calculation to make because historically in this race, there just hasn't been enough green flag racing to think about pitting. It's been about 8 cautions on average, I think, since those first 2 races. But if we do keep running here, which we've been doing a very good job of, the field is reasonably stratified. I don't know. Are you going to have to start listening to your virtual crew chief? Are you going to have to start breaking into the deep recesses of strategy and think about a green flag pit stop in Martinsville? That's not something you usually think about.
Yeah, and I think it'll depend on where you are on the track. It would still be hard if I was Nathan Deering up in P1, Daniel Knight, Thomas Sink in the top 3. It'd be hard to think, hey, let me give that up. But if I'm a Patrick Cowgill in P21, a Jeff Ward P22, a Mike Knight in P24, what would I have to lose? I mean, there's only 25.
There's a bump into turn 1. The lap truck of Richard Regan Jr. goes around in turn 1. Marty Calvert in the 16 has to park it on the concrete berm on the inside. No caution's going to come out, but that was a little bit of a chain reaction. There was a little bit of contact in turn 3 and 4 between... They're wrecking again at the back of the field. And there we go. There's the caution finally. A chain reaction that started a lap ago eventually makes its way all the way to the back of the field.
Yeah, that's Richard Regan. And he just made contact with a truck on the outside. and could not save it a second time. So here we are under yellow, and now all those conversations begin to take place, Joey, about what to do, when to do it, why to do it. It is now a live conversation.
The first thing I noticed, there was a little bit of argy-bargy in 3 and 4. It was Ted and Brett Adams, and then after that, everybody checked up a little bit. Marty Calvert gets into the back of Richard Regan Jr. That's the first part of the caution. Calvert parks it.
Go up to Richard Regan. That's going to be the watch Regan again. That'll be where the cautions. This first one they saved. That's the one Joey called that they saved. Here's the second one. Three wide doesn't work out, and that's where it is right there, and everyone's involved.
And both Hunters were immediately involved. Nick Hunter gets the brunt of it. Austin actually made it through. Nicholas Schwartz was involved. Whoa. But this is big. Everybody has come in except for 2 trucks. Thomas Sink and Jeff Ward have stayed out. Actually 3. Patrick Cowgill has stayed out as well. Actually 4. Mike Knight has stayed out as well. Those 2 trucks are damaged, Cowgill and Knight. Sink and Ward are totally clean. They are in totally fresh trucks, and they've decided we're taking the risk, we're taking track position, we're going to the front of the field. Literally everybody else has come down and taken tires, and now Mike Knight and Dalton Geyer do the same.
Color me shocked. I never in a million years, Joey, would I have thought the leaders would have given up track position. Never in a million years would I have thought that Deering and Sink and others, well, not Sink, but, Deering and Knight and others party would come down here and give up that track position to put tires on. I thought for sure they were glued to the track. That blows my mind a little bit. So now Thomas Sink and Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward, of course, missed out on this round of playoffs due to missing last week's race, due to some internet problems. Thomas Sink, I mean, he has to take a swing at it, though, Joey. He is currently P8 on the pro side of the playoffs, down a lot of points. He barely squeaked his way in, so why not swing for the fences? But I respect those moves. Patrick Cowgill's up here, but wow. I mean, Nathan Deering only back to 4th with new tires, but whew, I am stunned.
And it would be quite an upset if Thomas Sink manages to pull this off. As I mentioned, it has been, I believe, 3 or 2 years since Thomas Sink last won a race. He's in the round of 8, though. If he wins, he's going to the championship 4 guaranteed. This could be a big upset day for the driver of the number 48.
Yeah, look at that. That 48 scheme kind of reminds me of old Joey of one of an old Reese's paint schemes. In fact, you see the front of that truck and kind of get with the whole Halloween thoughts for candy. Reese's peanut butter cups, Reese's Pieces came to mind, but wow, here's Jeff Ward on the outside. Jeff's had a fun season, a fun year in PRL, and it really surprised a lot of people when he didn't make this round, Joey. A lot of people were stunned that he was out, and so I think with the success Jeff has had, everyone just sort of assumed he was a lock-in.
Yeah, unfortunately, missing 1 round was just too many points. That's going to serve as his drop week. He wants to get his championship hopes back, though. He won the first race at Kansas, finished 2nd a couple of weeks later. He's still a championship contender, and he can pick up a ton of points on Holly and Regan today. The green flag is out. Thomas Sink leads us into turn 1. They're 3 wide already as Cowgill's in a 3-wide sandwich with Daniel Knight, and there goes Cowgill around in front of the field, in front of Ted Lowendick, in front of James Morgan's involved. Brett Adams in the 23 is in there, and Tom gets it turned around, but the caution instantly flies again as 3 wide into turn 1. Doesn't usually work on the restarts here.
Yeah, 3 wide to turn 1, and I think a mix of tires might have also played into that a little bit, with people with new tires being more aggressive. Maybe they needed to be with new tires and whatnot. But hey, Thomas Sink has got to be grinning ear to ear. I guess we can't say the Grinch, that's Christmas. I don't know if there's is there a Halloween character that grins that big? Like
Jack Skellington?
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm looking for.
When he first ended up in Christmas Town?
Yeah.
Or the mayor from Nightmare Before Christmas. He's got a big smile as well. It's one of his many faces.
It's funny. You and I discussed a lot of unpopular hot takes, if you will, regarding the holidays and food. hold on. Let's watch this first. Here's on the outside. I mean, Nathan Deering in a 4, going to make contact with Cowgill, and then it just never got it recovered. And up to the outside. Joey, I like Nathan Deering, and I think when he looks back at it, he might realize that was just a little too aggressive for new tires. You don't need to do that. but that's what happened there.
And you might think a little bit of inexperience at that point. He does have experience in this truck. He's got experience in this style of racing, but this is a guy whose only win in the PRL came in a GT3 car. He's not used to running up front in these trucks, and you have to wonder if maybe that was a little bit of jitters leading him to not totally listen to his spotter into turn 1.
I mean, he probably listened. Hey, you're 3 wide, stay up top. It's just unfortunate. If you want to stay in that, see on your screen there, that kind of that light silverish, light grayish color asphalt, it's hard to do 3-way. It's almost impossible to be 3 wide. There's not enough space there for 3 trucks, and that's what happened. Hey, I said hot takes and unpopular opinions. I have one for you.
Okay.
It's not a horrible movie, but Nightmare Before Christmas is kind of overrated.
Well, I actually just saw it for the first time the other day because it was in the theaters, and we just wanted to see a movie. I could see it for free. It's fine. It's not like the best thing I've ever seen, but the songs I like the songs.
Yeah, it's fine, but a lot of people who love the movie treat it like one of the greatest cinematic masterpieces of all time. It's not.
I'm not that. I mean, I like Halloween. I like Christmas. I'm not like the big holiday person like some people are. So it's just like I'm not as attached to it as some other people are.
Well, Joey, let me give you a spoiler. I think next caution, whenever that may be, if it happens, Richard Regan Jr. wants to come in and talk and explain what happened from his viewpoint at the start of the race. He tired the truck, so he will finish P33 on the grid, and he will come in next caution to have a conversation with us.
That is not ideal, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Will we go green for 23 minutes, or will we hear what went terribly wrong with Richard Regan Jr.'s wheel? Thomas Sink wants us to keep going here. He's got position and he's got the lead. His last win, by the way, January of 2022 at Dover. Can Thomas Sink break the duck for the first time in 2 years? He's going to lead the field into turn 1 to try and keep that journey going. Jeff Ward in second. A little bit of damage on that 89 truck. The battle for the lead on the fresh tires. Daniel Knight clears Nathan Deering around the outside. The 17 peeks a nose to the inside of the 89. Gives him a little bit of a bump off of turn 2. Knight is on much fresher tires than both of those in the front two. He's not going to be able to use them yet, though, as once again the caution flies to the back of the field, very close to a restart.
This might be the ultimate nightmare for Nathan Deering right here, Joey. Newer tires and not able to use them. So let's see the replay first, and then I think we'll pull in Richard Regan and have that conversation. But I noticed, whether it be he was being more conservative or maybe just that little bit of damage to the truck mattered, Deering was not exactly overpowering like he was on the first restart with the new tires, Joey. So he might have been more patient and kind of being, modest because he feels bad at what happened. I'm not sure, but didn't quite get it done there. So Thomas Sink still leading this race as we wait for the replay to load up to show us what happened in turn 3. Watch this here.
Oof.
Brett Adams.
And Nick Hunter.
Yep.
Oh, and Kyle Dewey on the scene gives a punch to the front end of that 19 truck, and Patrick Cowgill in the 31 decides to get involved in the caution as well. With every lap that passes under yellow, it starts to look like a better and better decision for Thomas Sink and Jeff Ward, but they do still have a long way to go. We will hear now from Richard Regan Jr., who is unfortunately out of this race after some technical issues. Richard, looked like it was just a mechanical issue with your wheel, but what happened in detail from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, we're just getting ready for the restart, and then everything on my computer went black. I think my computer glitched out because I lost my monitor, my VR, my wheel, my pedals, everything was just gone. So I want to apologize to everybody that I affected, because obviously that's really a bad way to go out, but nothing I could have done about it, and I apologized to Brad, and he understood. And it just sucks because we're trying to lock ourselves into the championship around here, and we were doing everything right even though it was early. And when we got back out on track, we drove up into the top 15 on position wise. Obviously we were 6 laps down, but we had the pace to stay up there all night. But just want to apologize to everybody that I affected.
All right, Richard. Well, this is going to level off the points. Obviously, I think you'll still be probably safe above the top 4, but looking ahead, it's Phoenix next. Is that also kind of a track you think you'll be okay at, or are you concerned now?
I'm pretty concerned. I don't really like Phoenix. I've had a lot of bad luck there. And I don't know, I got to figure out what my problem was, if it was my wheel, because I did have a wheelbase problem a couple of years ago where it would do that, but this was a little different with the VR doing it too. So I got to investigate if it's my wheelbase or my computer. If it's my computer, I'll probably just go buy a new one, and if it's my wheelbase, I'll probably be done for the rest of the season.
But well, listen, good luck, and I'm sure we'll talk soon, all right?
Thanks for the interview, guys.
Of course, Richard. That's Richard Regan Jr. Going to finish officially P33 tonight, Joey. And boy, he sounds disappointed.
Yeah, and hopefully he doesn't have to buy a new wheelbase or a new computer. We hope we'll be able to see him for the rest of the season. But we will wait and see what happens. And yeah, unfortunately, technical issues, just like they can hit you in real racing, you can have a random engine failure, you can have the same thing happen in a virtual race. We're ready to go back green yet again. Thomas Sink loving these short runs, loving these short restarts, because he is currently on 70 lap older tires than Daniel Knight, who restarts directly behind him. Both of them on the bottom, file into turn one. Jeff Ward's going to try and stick it around the outside, but that damaged 89 truck is going to be no match for the number 17 of Daniel Knight, who's on fresh tires, fresh brakes, and he almost gets into the back of Thomas Sink into turn three.
Now that'll be the battle right now, is can you be patient with your new equipment, and can you keep things moving with a green flag? Battle for the front here. It's Sink and Ward. They're kind of holding everyone up. This is what they need to do in a way to battle off those new tires, is kind of keep it too wide and let everyone burn their stuff up here. But look at that. Ward on the outside powers it around, Joey, and I think he's going to take the lead.
This is incredible stuff from Jeff Ward. We almost wrote him off, but he's going to lead at the line, and Daniel Knight sends it 3 wide to the inside. Oh, no. Sink spins. Thomas Sink spins in turn 2 in the middle of a 3 wide sandwich, and the driver who is looking for his first win in 2 years ends up spun around and falls to the back of the field.
And Joey, unlike the last 3 wide where I think Nathan Deering was being aggressive, that's not Nathan Deering at all. That's going to be, I think Thomas Sink washes up. Watch this here in the middle. Sink in the middle is just going to get to the, washes up into steering. Yep, there it is. Maybe he bounced around a little bit too, and then,
oh, and Bradley Holly was involved as well. Talk about championship implications. Andrew Sharp, that's the truck parked there as well. He's going to fall to the back of the field. And then a little bit later, those last 2 trucks we saw, you saw Panzarella was broadside across the track, and Abner Acosta got bonked into the barrels as well.
He not only bonked into the barrels. Currently, I'm waiting to see. I think the officials are going to go ahead and clear it for him. He actually got a penalty for entering the pit road right there. But
yeah,
I think they're going to
drive through the alternate pit road. And there are the live points right now as we're talking. These are the season points currently. So it's a big day for Bradley Holly as he's recovered a little bit. He might have to come down pit road this time, though, as it was a heavy hit for him. You see a big loss for Regan, a big loss for Sink, and a big loss for Hillman, actually. He's going to fall multiple spots as well.
Lots of, you used the right word, championship implications. Lots of gremlins, lots of monsters, lots of spooky things have happened tonight if you are part of the round of 8 on either side. And it's becoming harder and harder to find a clean race truck who is playoff bound as of this point. Well, Joey, you're 16 minutes to go. We'll likely go green with less than 15 minutes to go. And there's Abner Acosta coming off the pit road, but it's going to be go time for everybody. Right now, Jeff Ward has the unfortunate spot, I believe, of being the only driver.
Yeah, 54 lap older tires.
So I was reading my leaderboard as well, but yeah, everyone, Daniel Knight, Nathan Deering, Mark Kalin, Ted Lowendick, all your top 5, all pitted right around lap 70. So now it's up to Jeff Ward to hold them all off, and this becomes harder to do when you're the only one. You don't have a buddy, you don't have a tag team partner, you don't have a whatever you want to call it to work with. You're kind of stuck out here alone.
I mean, I think Jeff surprised us in the last caution, though. We saw him with that very noticeable damage on the right side of the truck. We saw how good Thomas Sink was in that last run. But Jeff said none of that matters. I'm going to drive around the outside of this guy. I'm going to take the lead totally legitimately. He's already surprised us once. I wonder if he's still got some surprising pace on those old tires, and he might be able to hold Daniel Knight back after all.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how this plays out here, and lots of what-ifs still to happen here at Martinsville. And this is kind of what we thought would come in. There'd be a lot of question marks, a lot of beat-up trucks, a lot of people in weird positions. And by the way, as of note, Bradley Holly, P7, did not pit that time. And now down to P8. So kind of back and forth here, but he did not pit.
I guess that makes sense. 15 minutes left to go. There's not going to be a ton of green flag racing. Probably not worth it to come down pit road and get that damage fixed. So Brad will continue on here. But Jeff Ward won a surprising race at Kansas to start the season. His first race in the PRL, showed himself as a championship contender, and this could be a big day for him to reestablish himself as a championship contender here in Season 4. The green flag flies, and Jeff Ward leads us into turn 1 for the first time on a restart. Daniel Knight cleanly into second, though, ahead of Nathan Deering. Mark Kalin's on the scene as well on the 62. He wants to be a spoiler. We ride on board with Bradley Holly, though, and you can see that damage hurting him a little bit as Jeff Evans squirts around the outside, and the yellow flies instantly yet again. We've not made it very far on these last couple of restarts, and it looks like it was in the middle of the field this time.
See that car on the inside? There's
somebody's in the barrels.
Just nose first in the barrel. Like someone that's kind of said, hey, I'm done almost. What was that?
Somebody ended up in the barrels last week, too.
Yeah. We missed. Yeah, that was a moment. Watch this here. This will be the wreck.
Oh, Thomas Sink gets hugely into the back of Tom Macy.
The submarine his way in there, didn't he? And then spun him around. Big spin. Actually, for a Macy, that's a pretty good. I mean, it's not great you got spun, but what I'm saying is for what that was in the middle of the track, that could have been way worse, Joey. But then I couldn't identify the truck who went.
I think that might have been a Macy.
First.
I think that might have been him just kind of putting the truck out of its misery.
But he's still on track, so I don't think it was a Macy. But I'm going to wait until I figure this out here. That was pretty weird.
Brandon Chatley.
There it is.
I mean, it looked like the truck was turning fine to get on pit road, and then suddenly it just decides not to.
Yeah.
I said it's the 13th race in the truck at Martinsville. It's the day before Halloween. I don't know if it's full moon. I haven't looked at the sky recently. But this has been... Martinsville's always crazy in this series. We expect chaos and drama and wrecks, but this has been especially wild.
Yeah, the night before Halloween's proven to be a little devious, full of disasters.
Mischievous,
yeah. So, wow, lots of stuff going on in his last few minutes that have been kind of wild and crazy and spooky and... kind of would scare the pants off you, honestly, depending where you are in this field. And so let's run it down. Jeff Ward did hold on to the lead. The best thing that Jeff Ward could hope for right now, Joey, would be a couple more cautions, right? Because maybe 2 more and we're done. And, you know, he does get that great jump. He got a great jump on Daniel Knight, Mark Kalin, Nathan Deering, Ted Lowendick, and others. So right now, if we take a look at it, the names in purple, by the way, in your scoring pylon, those are the playoff drivers on the AM side of the board. Right now, Austin Hunter is in the spot to win the AM race tonight, as far as the playoffs are concerned.
And he would make the championship 4 if he wins.
Would he, though? Because he's not the top scoring AM driver. He's the top scoring of the playoff drivers, right?
If you win in AM, that counts as a win in the playoffs. If you win in the playoffs, you automatically advance to the next round. So if Austin Hunter finishes as the top AM today, he will automatically advance into the round of 4 in the AM division.
Is he the top AM? I'm going through the list right now in my head with memory. Sorry, I'm asking that question as a serious question, not to judge. I guess, yeah, see Daniel Knight, Jeff Ward, Mark Kalin.
Yeah, he's the first driver highlighted in purple.
Yes. Okay.
Austin Hunter,
here we go.
Looking to make the championship 4. Jeff Ward, unfortunately not going to be able to, as he was eliminated from the playoffs last week after having to miss a race with some technical issues. But he's still winning for Season 4 points, and it's a great start from him. His teammate, Mark Kalin, gets to the inside of Daniel Knight. It's a Bluegrass Motorsports 1-2. What did I say about half an hour ago, Derek? Bluegrass Motorsports needs to start racking up 1-2s if they want to be back in this team's championship. Mark Kalin's trying to make that happen, and Austin Hunter, the AM leader, was gonna make the championship 4, and now he spins to the midfield and the back of the field. It's not a championship 4 run for him anymore.
No, it's not. Now Kevin McGarvey takes that spot temporarily of being the best of that pack. So wait and see what exactly caused that. By the way, of note, Daniel Knight looks to have got ahead of Mark Kalin. So watch this replay here. There's Brett Adams there. There's the Hunter car. There's both Hunters. Oh, Austin's went for a wild ride up on that little curbing and then back up across the track. I think he got a little Punterino from the back end of that truck.
From Brett behind him, it was am-on-am warfare. That is unfortunate stuff. Both of them did rejoin in fairly reasonable positions. Brett is still 11th. Austin is still 12th, so he didn't actually fall all the way to the back of the field. It's still possible, but yeah, that is unfortunate stuff again from a guy who hasn't won a ton of truck races. He has won a couple. That would have been a big story for Austin Hunter to make the championship for. And speaking of the team's championship, Derek, you see here, what would a 1-2 do for Bluegrass Motorsports? They wouldn't be 4th anymore. They'd hop all the way up to 2nd, 53 points behind the lead Whataback team.
Yeah, give him a little bit of points on that and help close that title up a little bit. Wouldn't that be pretty cool? But hey, big thing to talk about, by the way. You mentioned that, if you win, you're in. That's the way these playoffs work, right? But look at the playoffs for the pro side, for the old Grand National drivers. You have to kind of work a couple spots here to find a possible win and in. If Jeff Ward wins, which is not out of the possibilities here, then those playoffs are still wide open because no one will lock a spot in tonight, Joey, if Jeff Ward is the winner.
Same with Daniel Knight. He got eliminated last week. He was just a couple of points short, was 5 points behind Thomas Sink, didn't make the round of 8. First playoff driver is actually Mark Kalin in 3rd, who's currently 6th in the playoff standings. If he can steal a win tonight, he'll be going to the championship 4. But he's got a lot of work to do that. He got to the inside of Knight. He was in 2nd for a short period of time, but restart didn't quite go his way. This time, though, he's got 1 restart of experience. I'm sure he's communicating with his teammate Jeff Ward, and they're trying to do everything they can to get a 1-2 for Bluegrass Motorsports here.
You got to think right now, if you're Thomas Sink, who had problems tonight, if you're Richard Regan, who had problems tonight, maybe even if you're Bradley Holly, you're kind of hoping Jeff Ward wins, right? You don't want that spot locked up. You don't want to have that spot taken away. You want every spot open for an advancement into the playoffs. So there might be a lot of temporary Jeff Ward fans in the field tonight.
And just a little bit of housekeeping here. If we do get an immediate caution after this restart, I believe we'll get 1 more restart after that. But that is all we get. If we get a caution within the last 5 minutes, I think that might be it for the race. So it's crunch time. The sun's starting to go down, and everything is going to matter here in these last couple of laps. Jeff Ward looking to get his 2nd win in PRL competition, got his 1st win in the first race of the season. Daniel Knight looking to get his 1st win since November of 2021 at Phoenix. It's been almost 3 years for him. Mark Kalin, it's only been a couple of weeks. He finally got his 1st oval win in the Grand National cars last season. Let's see what happens. 7 minutes on the clock. Maybe 1 more restart in us. Jeff Ward in the 89 leads us yet again. Mark Kalin in the 62. The Bluegrass Motorsports teammate of the leader once again gets to the inside of the 17. And this time it's going to go far better for Kalin. He's almost clear down the backstretch. And you do see a cloud of smoke under that sun. The yellow's flown yet again. And we're going to get 1 final restart here in a couple of minutes.
Wow, wow, wow. You're going to get Mark Kalin on the outside chasing a win and in versus his teammate on the inside who's just out here for pride. Jeff Ward is not here for the playoffs, unfortunately. That's a big heartbreaking story from last week, so it's going to get kind of crazy. Daniel Knight's back there. Nathan Deering's back there. Lowendick. Lots of drivers who would love to win it in, but wow, this is going crazy here of what's going on.
It didn't see who was involved in that early caution because it was totally obscured by the sun, but it was some amount of trucks in the back of the field. Was nobody fighting for anything especially notable. It's just yet again, it's late in the race. People are getting aggressive. People are trying to make spots, and it's like when you're on the highway. Traffic forms when one person checks up, then the person checks up behind them, and then again and again and again. And at Martinsville, it usually ends up with a couple of crunched bumpers.
Oh, a lot of crunch bumpers depending upon how you feel about it. I can tell you right now, Joey, there's a lot of upset drivers right now. It's because we're starting to caution more. Maybe people aren't checking up. Maybe people aren't pacing correctly. Whatever it may be, there's a lot of upset people in this field right now. So here it is. Here's his Abner Acosta on the inside. Oof. Oh, got a bump for that Thomas Sink, I believe I saw in the back.
Yeah, and then Alex Hillman was behind him as well.
Wow.
It's been turn 1 every time on these restarts. The checkups just They just develop there so easily. Nick Hunter was involved as well. Tom Macy unfortunately caught up in another caution. Guys, gotta figure out how to anticipate these things, as we're only gonna get one more chance at this, I think. We'll probably restart with about 3 minutes to go. If they wreck again in turn 1, that's it. So hopefully we can get a clean finish.
And that's the downside of this format, right, Joey? Is that you said the most important thing is in everyone's mind. If we wreck again, we're done. So as a driver, if I'm Mark Caitlin, if I'm Daniel Knight, I'm up there, Nathan Deering, even I'm up there, I want to go fast, and that could mean that I am more aggressive than normal because I know I have seconds maybe to make a move. But unfortunately, that being aggressive means I could be the guy that messes this up a little bit. Here's Zach Burnt, by the way, behind the pace car. He came out at the last second on pit road and got lapped. So he'll fall to the back of the field. He will not be up in front of the leaders, I'm pretty sure. It's what's going to happen. He's not being scored in the lead, and he's not going to get a wave around. So he'll have to fall back in that moment. I'm pretty sure they might let him go.
If he's the lead truck, he will get waved around. He'll get waved around. Colton Lane will get waved around. And Abner Acosta is going to get waved around. All trucks in front of the leader will get to restart at the back of the field. But you do the math in your head there. That caution took about 3.5 minutes. There's 3.5 minutes left to go in the race. This is the final countdown, the final moments of the 300th race in PRL history. The iRacing pace truck pulls down pit road. And can we make this happen? An exciting duel to the end of the race between the Bluegrass Motorsports teammates. Jeff Ward, who stayed out under many cautions ago on 50 lap older tires than his teammate. Green into turn 1. Daniel Knight to the inside in the 17. Hops the curb, though, and isn't able to make the move happen. Mark Caitlin very, very high, very, very deep, but he gets a huge run. Takes the lead from his teammate, Jeff Ward. And Mark Caitlin takes the lead into turn 3 from his teammate. Mike Knight's in trouble in the middle of the field. He's falling back. No caution. Everybody's pointed straight. But Mark Caitlin did exactly what he needed to do. Used those fresh tires, pounced on his teammate, and he's looking for one of his second wins ever.
That'd be a big win. It'll lock him into the playoffs. And Joey, he's got an amazing feature right here. He's got a teammate as sort of like a moving chicane or a moving pick, helping guard that win if it comes down to it. And Mark's in a great spot right here. Already put almost half a second up on the field. There's Nathan Deering, way slow there on the inside of the banking, but all is good there. No yellow. We're still going to stay green with 2 minutes to go. There's your season points. That's not the biggest points we're focusing on. We're focused on the year-long playoff points, but lots of stuff happening in the back here. And look at this 3 wide, Joey.
I don't think Dylan Schmidt intended it for it to be 3 wide, and he gets turned around. Bradley Holly gets turned around. One more parking lot for good measure on the back stretch as Dylan Schmidt bombs it into turn 1 and wrecks about 7 trucks. That's going to be the end of the race. And Mark Caitlin, he knew that's what he needed to do. He knew this was a possibility. He needed to take the lead when he could. And that's exactly what he did. For only the 2nd time in the PRL on an oval, Mark Caitlin is going to look for a win.
That's a win in. Look at that. That is a face of relief. That's a face of knowing that he understood the assignment, as the kids would say, Joey. He knew what he had to do and went out and did it. So it's going to be Mark Caitlin and Nicholas Schwartz as your 2 advancers in these playoffs, I believe. Let's wait and see how that's going to play out here. But, man, wow. I want to see that wreck again, Joe. I don't know, honestly, why we're wrecking right there. Let's watch it again.
I don't know if Dylan Schmidt just outbraked himself or got hit by the 247 behind him.
I think he got up in the curbing a little bit and sort of unsettled the truck, but I'm not sure from that point if he, as you said, if he got assistance from there. But I mean, this is like, you're wrecking at the back of the field, for crying out loud. Like,
and that was one final punch for Bradley Holly, by the way. He was potentially going to have a good recovery day and finish somewhere in the teens, somewhere in the 20s. It's going to be 22nd for Bradley Holly, a big points hit for him, and you can see the impact that this has had on the team's championship. It's only 38 points now instead of 70 points between Bluegrass Motorsports and Whataback Overdrive. It has been the perfect day for the 2 teammates representing Kentucky. I don't know if the checkered flag is going to fly this time. might be the white flag as we cross the line, but either way, it's a victory lap for Mark Kalin, and there we go. Checkered flag in the hands of Barney the Flagman. Mark Kalin has started 119 truck races in the PRL, and this time, he's a winner for the first time. Mark Kalin in the 62, victorious for only the second time on an oval in the PRL. And I do dare say, he's gonna go one more time around, Derek. That wasn't quite the checkered flag.
Yeah, a little early. That's okay. These time races are hard to figure out, but yeah, gonna come right here and take the checkered. You're right. Second time this year. Second time in maybe what, 2 or 3 months now. The first time he did it was on a fuel mileage race. He did that and did it well. This is just out racing his teammate at Martinsville. It's incredible to see that one of the long-standing members of the PRL is gonna be there for the playoff finale.
And as I mentioned, this was the 300th PRL truck race. Mark Kalin's been in almost half of them, and he's finally won one of them. The number 62 truck, Mark Kalin, wins at Martinsville, and he's going to the championship 4 at Auto Club.
Well, congrats to Mark Kalin. That's a great move right there. Congrats to Nicholas Schwartz, going to be top of the AM class. He'll also advance on, and we'll see if Mark can come around. Let's see if Mark knows how to do a burnout at Martinsville. Is he going to do the back straight? Oh, yeah, that's the front straight. Sorry, I got my straights confused. Oh, that's a wall.
It's been a long time coming for Mark Kalin. Mentioned in the Grand National Series last season, it had been a long time coming. Finally pulled off the win at Rockingham, and now Mark Kalin gets it done at another similarly historic track at Martinsville. And as Derek mentioned, Nick Schwartz, your winner in AM. Unfortunately, not a playoff driver this season. He's also just racing for points and racing for glory. He'll still be happy, though. Pick up his first oval win in a truck. Brett Adams as well. Good day for him, finishing second in the AM standings. And behind them, Patrick Cowgill. That's kind of a shock. He's seemingly involved in about 3 separate cautions, and he's still going to finish on the podium in the AM class. Mark Kalin and Jeff Ward, 1 and 2 for Bluegrass Motorsports. Literally the perfect day for them. Daniel Knight was so hungry for his first win in 3 years. You saw him send it 3 wide in the restart. Didn't quite go his way. And Ted Lowendick, the underdog story of the day, stayed out of trouble for the most part, avoided some of those ladder cautions, and somehow finishes 4th. I don't think anybody expected that. Doug Evans and Jeff Evans, the family Evans, are actually the point scorers for Whataback Overdrive this time in 5th and 6th, and Nick Schwartz for Whataback TNT is your AM winner. Nathan Deering looked like he might get his first oval win and only his 2nd win total in the PRL. Didn't quite go his way. Brett Adams was 2nd in AM, and James Morgan rounded out the top 10. 11th, Patrick Cowgill, 3rd on the podium after being involved in pretty much the same amount of cautions. He's 3rd. Panzarella McGarvey round up the top 5 in AM. Geyer and Sharp down to P15. Bad day for Andrew Sharp. Thomas Sink, another driver who looked to end a long winless streak, didn't quite go his way tonight. Stacy Hunter, Colton Lane, Abner Acosta, and Nick Hunter, all involved in assorted amounts of trouble, all still in the lead lap though, with Mike Knight, and one of your championship contenders, Bradley Holly, just kept taking hits. Hillman, Macy, Dunn, and Toomer ended up 1 lap down each. Zachary Burnt 2 laps down, and the used truck lot starts fairly early. Dylan Schmidt, Kyle Dewey, and Austin Hunter multiple laps down. Brendan Chatley 30 laps down. Marty Calvert, Jose Medina, Mike Richter, and Tyler Graff all ran into assorted amounts of trouble, and Richard Regan Jr., maybe the biggest moment of the race, a technical failure while leading this race, puts his championship hopes in absolute peril. But we're going to be talking to a very happy driver here, I know. Mark Kalin. There's been 300 races in the PRL trucks now. You've been involved in 119 of them, and you finally won one of them. How good does that feel?
Freaking finally, man. It feels awesome. Granted, this is Martinsville and it was a caution fest, but I mean, you had to be on it on those restarts. That was the key to victory tonight. And man, had awesome teamwork there from my teammate Jeff Ward. Big shout out to him. It was his birthday today. So a 1-2 finish for Bluegrass Motorsports. Man, and with me at the victory, first win in the trucks, I'm ecstatic, man. I can't express enough how awesome this feels.
And not only have you finally picked up your first win in the truck, but you're going to the championship 4 now. You're going to the Auto Club. You're going to fight for a championship. Are you going to be the underdog? Are you going to be the dark horse now?
I think I'm always considered the dark horse, Joey, but I think I can go to Auto Club and give them a little show. Well, that's the hope, anyways.
I'm excited. That is, you've eliminated one of those drivers with a ton of playoff points, so you are going to stink up somebody's show. Mark, it's fantastic to see you finally winning one of these things, and I hope we'll be replaying your celebration in many, many GIFs in the future.
I hope so as well. I hope the broadcast wasn't too boring for you guys, but those restarts were sure interesting, that's for sure.
You guys were doing something all the time. That's all that matters.
That's right. But,
Mark Kalin.
I appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Victorious at Martinsville and going to the championship 4. That's huge. Mark Kalin, big stuff. His teammate Jeff Ward still waiting for him to get everything set up. It's his birthday. Maybe he's celebrating already. We do have third place with us, though. Daniel Knight was third, and he's talking to Derek Watson.
Daniel, what a crazy night. What a wild, just crazy night, right? What was it? It looked crazy from up here. What would be a word you'd use to describe this race tonight?
I think you just did. Wild, crazy, frustrating, and slow. I mean, we had a great green flag run there, 30 laps or something like that. And that was awesome. That was a lot of fun. And then it just, fell off at the end there. But I mean, that's just kind of what happens at Martinsville. No matter who goes there, it's just one little mistake, and you're so packed in there, so tight, everyone just gets caught up in it. So kind of unavoidable sometimes.
So you pit right around lap 70. You put the new tires on. A couple drivers stayed out. Jeff Ward stayed out. A couple others. At that point, were you confident you could have got around them, or what happened?
I wasn't really sure, to be honest. It was just going to be a matter of I felt like if we could get Deering and I, if we can get like a 15 lap or so run, we would get by him pretty easily. But the tires don't mean a whole lot on the starts when everyone's just scrambling and on the edge. So thought we could have got him, and then some more attrition happened, and then some bad 3 wide moves on my part. Well, good at the time, but ended up bad. Just wasn't able to make it happen.
All right, well, listen, Daniel, well, great job tonight, P3. Good points tonight, and we'll see you next week in Phoenix.
All right, thanks, Derek.
Have a good night.
Daniel Knight coming home third, coming home 7th in the order, but coming home with a win in the AM category. Nick Schwartz, you had a great night tonight, involved in some trouble, as basically every truck in this race was, but you came back, you finished 7th, and you're an AM winner. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it's good to get that first one. I mean, it's I suppose it's not a real win. It's just a good finish. But yeah, I mean, I felt like I was, Daniel Dye with the Fox in-car camera, because all of those first cautions happened right in front of me. I managed to go 0x right until the end there. So that was great. Had some good runs with Austin Hunter throughout the race. But really, it was just about being patient and trying to dodge all the mayhem.
And it is a real win in the stats book. This is going to go in your first ever win in the PRL in any capacity. Is this the first of many? Is this the start of a streak now?
We'll see. I mean, it was a good points day. I think, I'm still in there with a shout against Andrew Sharp. I know you had some issues today, so we'll see how the rest of the season goes. I think the rest of the tracks, line up better for me than this one did. So, yeah, we'll just keep fighting and see what happens.
Well, congrats on getting that first win in the books, and we'll see you next week at Phoenix.
Thank you.
Nick Schwartz, victorious in the AM category, and we've got one more driver to talk to. Sort of against all odds, coming home third in the AM category. Patrick Cowgill's here with Derek.
Well, Patrick, what a wild night. We saw you involved in a couple incidents. Nothing really of your doing, but just felt like a big game of pinball out there, right?
Yeah, pretty much. At the end, I was kind of running scared because I had 20 incident points and 24 is the limit. So I was trying to watch my mirror anytime a caution came out, make sure I wasn't going to get rear-ended. And yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Well, you do finish tonight. You're going to finish, within the AM category fairly well, so that'll help a little bit of that playoff run. Next week at Phoenix, is it a track you do well at? What's the outlook for Phoenix?
Based on my stats stuff that I've been doing, Phoenix is one of my better tracks, but I'm still not great at it. I tend to have a problem with spinning out, so hopefully that doesn't happen.
All right, listen, well, great job tonight, and we'll see you 1 week in Phoenix, and maybe you can lock yourself into the Final Four.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And I also gotta do a shout out for Once Upon a Gene podcast. It's for parents that have children with rare diseases and disabilities and stuff. And then I gotta give a shout out to my Whataback teammates, you guys at RaceSpot, and everybody at PRL that puts this together.
There you go. Well, listen, great run tonight, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that is Patrick Cowgill, and they got repping a new sponsor.
Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Yet another Martinsville race in the PRL, number 13. We expected chaos, we expected drama, and we got even more of that than usual. But next week, we are off to Phoenix. It's not going to be a championship finale like it will be in the real series. It'll simply be the middle of the round of 8. But you saw enough stuff going on tonight. Wait until you see him fanned out 7 wide in the dogleg, Derek.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, see how that plays out, and if everyone comes out okay. Lots of implications will be played out over the week for playoff points, and we'll see where we line up. But right now we know that your race winner, Mark Kalin, is in the round of 4.
We'll be back next week with more trucks. We'll be back tomorrow night with GTP and GT3 PRL action here on RaceSpotTV. We hope you'll join us then. But until we see you next time, I've been Joey Tebbin. Derek Watson's been Derek Watson. Our producer has been Hugo Luis. Until we see you next time, so long.